Clerk, I believe we have the first agenda item on there.
Yes, sir. A delegation, Mr. Paul Simon, regarding Reynolds Street parking deck.
Mr. Simon.
Thank you. My name is Paul Simon, live at 14 Highgate West, Augusta, Georgia. In February of this last year, you, the body, approved the documents that you have in front of you today with the exception of 2 items. You asked us to make 2 changes. One was to change the term of the agreement from a 15-year term to a 5-year term, and we agreed to do that. You also asked us to change the terms of the transfer of the land, instead of to the city, to transfer it to the city's land bank. We agreed to do that. In the documents you have now, those have been changed to reflect that. You have built a beautiful parking deck on Reynolds Street. We've operated the deck for you for 10 months without pay. To my knowledge, there's been no complaints. Well, I haven't heard of any complaints, and I hope you haven't. The convention center is almost complete. This center will be a tremendous asset in attracting conventions to Augusta.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Simon, I'd also like to appreciate you taking time to meet with Wayne and I last week. But on behalf of my colleagues up here and even myself seeing this for the first time, I'll like to make a motion that we receive this as information.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Guilfoyle.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simon, thank you for your time last week, again, with Mayor Pro Tem and myself. I feel we got a lot accomplished, but I feel that we still got a little bit more ways to go. As far as the February commission meeting, where you had stated that the documents was given to us in the meeting, the only thing that was given to us from the administrator was to sign.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hatton?
I think you mentioned that the land has been transferred or something of that nature. Are you saying that there's a clear deed now?
When these documents are agreed to, then at that point...
Come out today, right now?
As of right this minute, no, and they won't be transferred until the documents are approved, and we'll have a closing. The mayor will sign the documents, and we will then, the bank will transfer the title to the city, and there'll be no lien on it.
This is something that's backwards.
No, this is all closed.
It's backwards because y'all told us we had the land to start with.
Well, now wait a minute.
I'm through.
All right, let me respond to that, please. Because
Okay, let's just, we have a motion that's been properly seconded.
okay.
If there's no further discussion, commissioners will now vote by the usual sign of voting.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, the clerk to read the motion, please.
The motion was to receive it as information.
And then did not include it in the motion, but I'll schedule a special call meeting next week. If there's no further discussion, commissioners will now vote by the usual sign of voting.
That motion carries with Mr. Mason and Mr. Smith out.
This is a cost reimbursable contract, and usually when you have that, you've got full rights to audit everything that's going on. And my understanding of this is that the employees under this parking deck agreement will be employees of Augusta Riverfront LLC, and those records probably won't be available for audit, especially with the shared employees. In terms of definitions, it talks about gross salaries instead of net salaries. Now, there are things that go into salary costs like worker compensation insurance, and there's all kinds of discounts that apply. If you take the state unemployment insurance, it caps out at a certain limit. So if you don't have it adequately defined, a contractor can charge throughout the year when it capped out back in March. And those things are not covered in this document. The best I can tell, this agreement is somewhat of a conduit right into the general revenues of Augusta-Richmond County. And there needs to be the greatest care and controls provided for that. It's my understanding that Commissioner Guilfoyle has several documents in his possession that he's relayed to the city's attorneys that adequately define and limit material cost as being the actual cost and define that. Labor, it defines how labor is supposed to be compensated. computed. It also defines how labor burden is supposed to be computed. So it puts limits on how much exposure Augusta Richmond County has under this agreement. And I don't know about y'all, but I think since this is a cost reimbursable agreement, and it's Augusta funds being used, don't you think that the fullest of an audit right should be in existence for this agreement? Well, that's the way I feel about it. I think there's a lot of controls that really need to be put in here. I don't really know that they can get them done by Monday. But I'll be more than willing to work with Mr. Plunkett and Mr. Simon, whoever would like to work together to get these types of things, these controls in place. And I thank you for your attention, and have a good evening.
Look, this is not the way to do this. I mean, I don't know what his interest is. I don't think he lives in Richmond County. But anyway, all the controls, all the audit procedures spell out. I'm a CPA. I'm practicing all that. I don't keep my license active, but I can tell you, this document gives all the rights to the city. It's a contract where we will get a fee to run that. We don't get the revenue. It's expenses of the city for the city, and so those reports, those files will be there available for anybody else, for the city to see, and so there's no problem.
Could I follow up with that? Because I got a question. I noticed that y'all have carefully defined markup, and it's like that's profit. But what about indirect costs? Because under generally accepted accounting principles, you can put that in there. And so how is that defined?
Whatever the costs are, I just said a minute ago, the revenues will come in. Whatever the revenues are, and I can't tell you how many people are going to park in that day. Whatever they are, whatever we collect, that's the city's money. Whatever we spend on employees, or supplies, or lights, or water, that's the city's expense.
But isn't it true that 23% of the parking spaces in that parking deck belong to you, and the city has to pay under this agreement 100% of those costs while you get 100% of the revenue?
Well, we traded a very valuable piece of land for the deal that's spelled out. It's a good deal for the city. It's a good deal for everybody. We'll have a wonderful future as it relates to bringing people to Augusta. Your taxes. Keep your taxes.
Could I add to that? Because I agree with that. This project is going to be a great asset for Augusta, and I commend you for your participation in it. It's just a matter of working out the final details on how you get there.
Yeah.
And the T-Center, I think, is about a $2 million subsidy to Augusta Riverfront, so I would kind of say that kind of balances things out. So it's just a matter of, there are agreements that were in place going back to 2007, which you've agreed to, the county commission's agreed to, and now the details are being worked out. And the devil can be in those details, because I've seen contracts that contain costly provisions in every paragraph, and I'm real concerned about that's the way this one's going. But I really would like to commend you. That's a tremendous facility. It's going to be a great asset for Augusta, and my hat's off to you. I don't think anybody else could have done it.